Happy Wednesday, everybody! It's Twan going live, and I am going live with my homeboy Lonell every Wednesday because we decided to record our chats. Because every time I talk to Lonell, he's so inspiring. Okay, let me see how to do this. Let me add you. Hold up, Lonell. I'm in my bedroom. What's up? You know, we're getting so good at this. 2 old farts.
It's like so cool. Wait, let me share on my timeline. Okay.
My room is really messy, but I got my favorite candle lit. Let's show you real quick. I don't think you've ever been to my place, have you?
I have not, no.
I just
Next
have
time
random
I come
stuff
out to
that
the
I
city,
really
for
love.
sure.
I just have random stuff that I really love, like a random branch that I found on a hike. You can see I have a hammock here from Mexico when I went to Mexico. So.
Okay, I'm looking at two different places. Okay, hey, Charlton.
Okay, let me see how, if last week.
Did you guys have the kid? Some friend of mine who lives in Beverly Hills, guy who I went to high school with. Is that not crazy? And we're still in touch.
That's awesome. I still have some friends that
So I guess it did share because people that from my group are here.
That
hey,
doesn't
y'all,
surprise
what's going
me because
on?
you seem like somebody that a lot
Hello
of people
from Chicago. How was your day, your week? What's been going on, brother?
Hey, it's good. I have my niece and nephew with me because my nephew called. My sister has 2 kids, Drew, who's 12, and Serena is 8. And he called me the other day. He was like, Uncle Twan, what's your schedule look like this week? And I was like, actually, it's kind of packed this week. And he was like, I'm on spring break, and I just have nothing to do. And so I was like, looked at my schedule and tried to move things around. And I went to pick them up, and I surprised them. I know. I love my niece and nephew. There's Daniel. Hey, Daniel. What up? Missed you at CrossFit today. Yeah, it's just been good. You know, I just love being around kids, and they teach you so much. And they always surprise you because yesterday I kind of did a no-no and scolded him because we went to dinner. We got back late yesterday, and so we went out to dinner. And there was this on the way home, just walked down the street to one of my favorite burger places, and there was like a guy that was like paraplegic, or he was actually, I don't know if the right word is PC word is like deformed, or like he was in a wheelchair and just kind of using this joystick to move with his chin. And then Drew went like this. And I was like, Drew, don't stare. And he goes, Uncle Twan, I wasn't staring. He was like, I was just smiling at him like this the whole time, you know, and sending him love. And I thought that was so cool.
That is cool. Oh, Charlton corrected me. He said that we've known each other since junior high school. That is correct.
Oh, dang, junior high school. That's even longer.
But that is so cool that he. And how old is he? How old is your nephew?
He's 13.
Okay, that's pretty cool that he was that compassionate.
Yeah. That he's like so self-aware, and that's awesome. I love my niece and nephew. I'll always be a good uncle, but I don't think I ever want kids. So.
Right. I keep telling my brother and sister that too. Could y'all have some kids?
Did you ever want to have kids?
Hell no. And I'll tell you why. And it's nothing. I mean, I was like with my cousin, one of my cousins. We were like brother and sister. We grew up together. We were extremely close through high school, and we did everything together. And then, like at 15, she got pregnant, and it was like her whole freaking life changed. That freaked me out. I was like, is that what kids mean? That just like suck the life out of you? And that was my perception at 15. Like, oh my gosh, you can't do anything anymore, and we can't do anything. I was like, oh no, never having any of those.
You know what? With the state of where the world is today, I was just telling one of my friends, Jen. I don't know if she's watching. I don't see her. Hey, Bobby.
Hey,
but anyway, one of my friends, Jen, she had a baby girl, and while she was trying to conceive, she was like, you know, I just really want to be a mom. It's my calling, and I don't feel like, you know, I love kids, but I don't feel like I need to have my own. And so I was like, you know, the way the world's going, I mean, we're having a shortage of water. That's the next big war, you know. And I like to think positively, but I also think like, you know, we're using up all our resources. There's going to be more plastic. You read these articles, how there's going to be more plastic in the oceans in 2020 than sea creatures and all that stuff. But anyway, she was just like, well, you know, my daughter could be the one that finds a cure for cancer, you know, or she could be the next person, you know, that does, you know, like that creates this movement. And then I was like, well, okay, you have a point there. Which makes me think about, you know, I don't know what you were doing this weekend. I didn't march because I was, you know, with family. But did you? I already had plans, but did you
I was
march?
actually in Colorado
Okay.
when the marches happened.
Okay.
And it was interesting because, you know, that's like gun country. It's nature and the whole gun culture and all that. Although, praise the Lord, I didn't see any Confederate flags.
Oh,
But I,
I have to tell you a
but
Confederate flag story, a funny one,
um,
kind of funny one.
but there were kids there marching, like in the mountains of Colorado. So it was you could see that there's a whole vibrational
Movement,
shift. There's a
vibrate. Ooh, I
whole
like that.
entire
Yeah.
movement
Yeah.
that's going on. So although I wasn't able to participate, I was pleasantly surprised to find
Yeah.
them in the
Yeah.
mountains, still making their voices heard. So,
Right? I was
and
so
wherever people
proud. I was
stand
like,
on,
go ahead.
yeah, I was the same way. I was like, whatever side of the debate you stand on, can we at least have a debate? Can we at
Yes.
least have a discussion? Because
Exactly.
everybody's like hell bent on their position, and there's like no
Yeah.
traction. So what will end up
Yeah.
happening is, you know, it's swung so far this way because the NRA, etc., are
Yeah.
relentless. So if they don't budge, eventually, because everything you do has every action has an opposite and equal
That's it.
reaction.
Yes,
The
absolutely.
pendulum will swing back the other way, and then it will be another overreach to the other extreme. So
Yes.
it's like,
Yeah.
if we're going to actually progress, we need to have some type of civil, collective
Amen.
conversation.
Amen.
So I don't know.
It's funny you brought that up
Hey,
because
Lorette. Sorry, go ahead.
I love that. Hey, Lorette. No, I love that you brought that up because the that like law of motion is one of my favorites because it's so true, right? I was just having a conversation with a friend of mine this morning on my early morning walk, and we were talking about how like really people don't know that they're blocking stuff, and you and I talk about this all the time. Like you are literally blocking with your negative, if you have a negative attitude and like, oh, I can never find a job. Well, if you're gonna act like that and I got the hookup or I'm hiring, I'm not gonna want to hire you. And so many people, like you said, get in their own way. They don't obey, they get in their own way, right? Is what you say.
Yep, you get your own way. You can't, you know, you can choose to do that, but you're
Yeah.
going to have whatever you think. Whether you believe it or not, you have what you think. And your life is
Yes.
a manifestation and an expression of your thoughts. And if
Yeah.
if your life is SHIT right now, you've probably spent a good decade or so
Yeah.
reaffirming that, because
Yeah.
it just doesn't happen any other way.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
are the manifestation. Your life is a manifestation of your
Yeah.
thoughts, period. Whether you believe that or not, or whatever you want to call it, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So,
And you have to, yeah, you have to remember too that, you know, I saw, you know, sometimes social media, I follow a lot of positive on Instagram. I follow a lot of like positive sites and whatnot and places that have quotes. I'm a quote queen, king, whatever. But I love quotes. And one of my favorite ones that I heard recently was, say thank you for what you have now because it was something that you had prayed for.
yeah,
And just by, or something
that's
like that.
good.
But it's just by the nature of being. I had to check myself this week because, you know, I'm always the kind of person that is, I'm always I'm not just hungry, but I'm hungry, you know, I'm
Right.
always hungry for the next thing. I used to always live in the future. And I think the immigrant mentality, I grew up poor. So it's like, I always wanted to, oh, when I get this car, I'll be happy. When I be a TV reporter, I'll be happy. When I coast to show, whatever. And then I'm just like, you know, I'm just really trying to practice the now. And I check myself because I like to think that I'm present, but I check myself because I see myself sometimes like suffering in my own head or getting a little down because maybe something didn't go the way I wanted to or things didn't show up yet, you know, and I'm just like,
And sometimes, you know, they say like life happens, yeah, and that gets in the way, or you might have a health challenge. All of that stuff, though, those are lessons, you
yeah,
know, and so often I think when we have one of those down moments, or we have a health diagnosis, whether it be
yeah,
like cancer, HIV, cysts, tumors, whatever,
yeah,
it's always we go to the fear place
yeah,
instead
yeah,
of being still and being in the moment. First of all, this diagnosis has come from a medical professional. That's still
yeah,
a man or a
yeah,
woman. That's a person, a human. So that's, you know, you still can tap into a higher, you
yeah,
know,
vibration.
power, or a higher
Yeah,
resource, whatever you
yes,
call it. And nothing is impossible.
yeah,
Nothing is impossible.
yeah,
I mean, I have my own story, you know, but that'll be in the book.
okay. Wait, you didn't tell me you write a book, are you?
Stage, hey Charleston, thank you. I've just been documenting my
Okay,
story, so there's just a
yeah,
whole bunch of
okay,
um, stuff in there.
It's so funny. I would love to talk to you more about it later, but it's throughout the last few years, like starting my nonprofit, the Go Inspire Go thing, being a TV reporter, and all the series of things that have happened in my life. People are always asking me like, "Oh, you should write a book." And one of my friends that worked at a publishing house, I think one of the agents or somebody there had asked me in the past if I was interested in, collaborating and writing a book. And I'm like, I ain't got nothing to write about. So, but I just feel like I'm still living, or still learning things, and I need to continue to document. I try to document as much as possible, but how are you documenting? Like, do you have an app, or like you have a notebook?
I do stuff on my phone. I try to get down, but I keep a gratitude journal through an app on my phone every day, so that can give me the highlights. And then I'll try to sit down and have notes on my computer. And occasionally, I still actually write longhand, but I find that the older I get, the worse my penmanship is becoming. Yeah. So sometimes I'll write stuff by hand and I can't read it afterwards.
Yeah. So as much as we text nowadays, right? I know. As much as we text nowadays, it's like harder for us to practice. Hi, Mary. That's my mom.
Hey, Lamar.
I love you. We got to catch up. Anyway, yeah, it's I would love to hear more about that app. What's the name of the app? Your gratitude app?
The gratitude app. Yeah, right in the,
That's
in the Apple Store. The gratitude app.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep,
I gotta check that out.
I was going to ask you about Roseanne. Did the
oh my gosh.
sitcom?
Speaking about like Colorado, you're talking about the Midwest and all that. So just to let everybody know, today I messaged Lonell and he was just like, "Did you watch Roseanne?" Because I had asked you if you watched Queer Eye, because I was like, I'm all over it. And I'm just finding out about it. I just love that show so much. And then Lonell was like, you were like, "Hey, Roseanne, did you check that out?" And then I just checked it out, and it was addicting. Like right after the first, like right when I clicked on that ABC Go app or whatever you sent me, I watched that, and then I was making my carnitas dinner for my niece and nephew, and I was watching the second episode. I watched both. It's so good. And the biggest thing is like, I'm going to show you what I have on my computer right quick, because I was kind of addicted, so addicted that I started researching a little bit. So I'm on like this thing called It's called Deadline.com. And it says Roseanne Revival's huge debut stuns Hollywood, prompt soul searching. And you wouldn't think that Roseanne, the reboot is inspiring people to soul search. And so I was just addicted. So I started reading all this stuff, and even up until right when you and I just connected now, I was like, whoa. So what did you think about it?
Well, I didn't get to watch it yesterday when it aired. And I saw some of the promotional interviews, and I know that her character was a Trump supporter. But I was seeing all this stuff on social media, people cussing people out and calling all kind of names because they were watching this. And I was like, well, wait a minute now. I'm sure that this is not a pro-Trump show or an anti-Trump show. Yeah. It's, I'm sure there's going to be some balance. And plus, I know how Roseanne operates on that. I mean, she's a very smart,
she's brilliant woman. Yeah.
So I knew, that it wouldn't be that way. But, I mean, there was all this dialogue and just people just kind of reflective of the political climate.
Yeah.
So I was like, I need to sit down and watch it.
Yes.
And today I did like you. I watched the first episode, and there were so many textures and so many layers. And the storylines were just so relevant. Yeah. I just thought, okay, this is, and it was still funny. So I absolutely love it. Loved it.
Me too. So it looks like Lamar. Hi, Lamar. Your friend Lamar said that it was funny. I love the reboot. Yeah. So anyway, it's so true. There were so many textures. I mean, like, God, I just loved it because there was like one kind of racy topic that's so relevant to another, from Trump and, Roseanne and her sister in a big feud because her sister's super liberal and then she's super, pro-Trump, and then she's now questioning it. And then the part that surprised me was it Darlene's son comes in?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then he's like dressed in girl clothes and he's like still trying to figure himself out, and she's like the mom that supports him, and the grandparents, they're conservative, but they just, no matter what, you love your kids, like whether you're
still human,
whoever
right?
you
and the whole way that Dan, the grandfather, handles that and the relationship. He was like, I would like for my grandchild to be a little more like this, but watching him grow to accept him the way, just beautiful. It's
Oh,
just beautifully done.
yeah, I got the chills again when you were talking about that because yeah, I was just like, whoa. And the way like Roseanne went in there and she had like a little moment on the couch with her grandson and said, you know, you have to choose your battles. You know, is this a battle you want to choose? He's like, yes. And you know what? We gotta listen to our kids more. Even like with my nephew, I was talking about earlier, how like I was scolding him for staring at somebody that was a person that was disabled, but he was like, I'm sending him love, Uncle Twan. That is so cool, you know. And then anyway, so then there was the whole other layer of Becky. You know, she for money she wants to be a surrogate to this woman. That you know what was so funny though, it's like I see myself like a dichotomy of both of those kind of worlds because you know you and I grew up in the same background. We were I don't even know what the word is. I would just say underprivileged or we were poor or whatever. But it was funny how like I do love me some Evian chilled in a glass bottle, and that's hella bougie, right? But when they said that, I was like, oh my god, that's hilarious. And then here you read a lot about. I mean, I just hear so many people. Like I have a lot of friends at our age now, you know, that are either getting pregnant or just you know had kids or whatnot, and then that you know they're the whole like. Some people turn their placentas into pills, or they eat their placentas, and I don't know if that. I know. To me, I know that makes me shudder because
Hey, Rainice and
that's a
Sean.
little bit too for me. It's a little bit too much for me, but you do you. I love it when people are like you do you. It's so kind of condescending, but I'm not mean to be condescending. But yeah, it's so there was that funny part where you know the woman was like, yeah, she plans to eat Becky's placenta. Oh my god, that was so funny. The comedic timing. And I think I want to know why you thought it did so well, but I think it did so well because, like you said, the storyline touches us. It's so relevant to what's happening today.
Right. No, I think it did well. One, because she's still popular. People are still curious, if nothing else. And it was the #1 show for a few years. So yeah. She still has a large, you know, I think a fan base. Rainice, I know you're in here, and we used to work together for the parent company, Carsey Werner, that produced that. We worked on another show. But Rainice, what do you think? I see you in there. What did you think of the Roseanne reboot? Did you even watch it? Since Carsey Werner wasn't giving you a check, she probably was like, I didn't watch that mess.
Lamar's like, funny though, absolutely. Hey Laura,
yeah, it was
Laura,
definitely I enjoyed it. And I said I knew it had to be something because I saw so much dialogue on social media about it before I even got a chance to see it, to watch it. And then when I did, I was like, and usually when people are that emotional or that invested in their position and they're inflexible and I was like, no, I have to look at it.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I'm glad you inspired me too, because it made me kind of dig deeper and think about the conversation. I don't know if I told you, but one of my family members voted for Trump. And she lives in a state, I'm not gonna call it the state, but she lives in a state that has a much more voting power than we do here in California. You know?
Wow.
Yeah. A swing state. And I was just like, why did you do that? You know, because
she wasn't that lady in Michigan that was with Oprah, was she?
No, it wasn't.
Did you see the Oprah on 60 Minutes?
No.
She did a group of was a group of voters, period.
Yeah.
But there was an Asian lady who she voted for Bush both times, she voted for Obama both times, and then she voted for Trump.
Did she say why?
And she's in Michigan, so I'm like, that's not her, is it?
But why?
But yeah,
why
it was just like,
why did she say?
I was still baffled at the end. Like, I don't get it, but maybe
I don't know. You know what's scary?
She tried to explain it, but she just kept saying, "We have to give him a chance. We have to give him a chance."
Well, you don't give virality somebody that is. Never mind. I don't want to get into it really, but
right.
I just don't believe in everything.
How's married life? Sorry, I just saw another. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right, it's all good. But this is why I wanted to talk to her, and I didn't cut anybody off on my Facebook friends that voted for Trump, because I do want to have that dialogue, and I did have that dialogue with her, and I wanted to just know, like, what was your thought process? Because the thing is, if you cut people off, and this is the brilliance of the Roseanne reboot, and the writing is so good, the reason why it resonated with so many people was not only because it was relevant and timely, it was also, to me, really well written. And when you tell a good story, like I teach storytelling. I do a lot of workshops and motivational speaking around storytelling, and every single culture in that was ever existed, back to the cave women days, they were connected by storytelling, right? So with this, I was just reading I just wanted to, just in terms of like hard numbers, the reporter in me was like researching, but according to Deadline.com, it said that I'll just read it off real quick. It blew past the projections with 5.2 adults. Let's see, 18 to 49 rating with 18.2 million total viewers. So the revival had more than 18 million viewers, and they said the second episode had even more viewers.
Wow.
Lamar
I'm
said
not
that's
surprised because it really was. One, like I said, she's a very well-known person, and just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
But because I think the first episode was so strong, people did come back.
Yeah.
And because you know, so many people were talking about it.
Yeah.
So
you know what's interesting too is they said that the demographics, the younger demographics, even though Roseanne and what's the guy that plays her husband again? I forget his name.
John
something. Anyway,
yeah,
but she and her husband, they, even though they're like 65 or over, you know, that show has brought in a lot of people that were the younger demographic, you know, and that was interesting to me because I saw a lot of things that they use comedy as medicine, right? And I think comedy can heal. And I thought it was brilliantly done, where you can tackle these really tough subjects, but the comedic timing was perfect when they were just like punchline, when things got just a little bit too. Oh, John Goodman. Thanks, Lamar.
John Goodman. Right. That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lamar. Yes. But yeah, I think that, it's just so well done. So I'm looking forward to. ABC has another hit on their hands.
I know, right? I know. Hey, I know. And I'll be watching next week. And to bring me back to TV, it's got to be exciting, or got to like be a good story. It's got to touch me somehow. It's got to make me angry, got to make me excited, or, you know, somehow make me teary or hopeful or something. And this had so many, like you said, textures and layers to it. It was amazing.
Yep. Yay.
So the next show I want to task you with watching is Queer Eye, because it is just like that. In terms of like, to me, what these shows are, it's like comedy is an entryway to this larger discussion, right? And I think the Queer Eye was the same thing, because back in the day, dang, I feel old, by the way, because Roseanne, I was reading that it said when the show closed 21 years ago, and I was like, dang, I think I was like 18, 19 at the time, right?
Yeah. Some of us are even older.
You're a little bit older, but anyway, I would never be able to tell. But yeah, but with Queer Eye, with the reboot, I remember watching a couple of the episodes of the original back in the day. But this reboot is so good, and they casted the 5 dudes so well. And I think the awesome thing that connects with that and the Roseanne show is that they go into the Midwest. They talk to people that seem like Confederate flag waving people, or hillbillies, or whatever you want to call them, you know what I mean? Or at the end of the day, it shows that we're all people. And so they'll go in, and these 5 guys are just like, you know, with all this energy, and some guys are like, I don't want to be touched, or just like, you know, just not used to expressing themselves as freely. And it's just beautiful, and it actually made me cry. One of the episodes was so good that it just was like, it choked me up. But it's
about the exposure, like you're talking about. I mean, being exposed to something that's not familiar, or something that you may have preconceived notions about, actually speaking with or having an experience with somebody that fits that quote unquote stereotype is like the most eye-opening thing you can do. And that will build empathy and understanding, and less of this ignorance and foolishness and butt-fuckery.
And just in the nick of time, Vinny, my childhood friend. Hey, Vinny, do you hear me? Vinny is one of my childhood friends, and he is a huge part of the LGBT movement, working for equality, and just like a hero in that sense. But he just popped up right when we were talking about Queer Eye, so I thought that was kind of funny timing wise. But yeah,
so I haven't checked it out yet, but I will check it out.
Check it out, because they tackle a lot of, I think, topics, and it's a great way to kind of use design in a way to open up your eyes. It's kind of like, hey, design, look, we're going to make you up. Look, we're going to talk about, hey, Christian, a lot of our media is about division and mistrust. Queer Eye's antidote to that. True. Hey, Christian, We gotta catch up. I love doing this because we see a lot of people that I just adored back in the day, and just kind of like we have lost touch. So next time I'm in
It's
LA.
nice to like be able to reconnect.
Yeah, yeah, but you're right. I totally agree. It's like a lot of our media is about division and distrust, and I think that when you can use, that's why I got out of TV news. When I was like, oh, I want to be a TV reporter, and I did it for 8 years, and I was like, for me, I'm totally done. Hiccush. So I'm totally done with this, and I want to use TV to help other people. And it was funny because I was telling you that I have this story that I've been telling for a long time about the school bus. I don't know if I told you my school bus story. It was like the moment that I knew I wanted to get out of TV. And then I listened to the Gwyneth Paltrow last episode. We talked about Gwyneth Paltrow
Right.
interviewing Oprah, and Oprah had the same school bus moment. But the school bus moment was very similar. Was I was in the newsroom, and I was about to go live for one of the shows. I think it was the 5, and you hear the scanners, because we have police scanners that people listen to, and it was going off like crazy. And they're like, school bus accident, kids involved. Did anybody die? And I was just like, whoa, y'all are way too excited about this school bus accident. And then I was just kind of like trying to get in my scripts and stuff, before the show, before I went live. And damn it, boom, one of the managers slammed the phone and was like, nobody was injured. And I was like, wow.
So I don't have a story. I couldn't. Yeah.
So it's not as strong as a lead. And that's when I knew that I was like, you know what? I got a piece out. I'm like, I am done. And I had already been thinking about leaving. So, that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. And I was like, wow, it's got to get more gruesome and bleed heavier and be, I don't know, it just be just more gut wrenching and violent for people to pay attention. And that just made me sick to my stomach. And I felt like I was misusing my power. Because you and I have always talked about this, like our belief that everybody has a power, no matter what it is, and everybody has a platform that they can influence, whether it's one person, a classroom, a huger audience on social media, or a TV show, So that was the moment, and I was like, I like shuddered,
I cannot be bothered. I need my... Go ahead.
Like you said earlier, everybody is here to teach us something. So even though some of my bosses in the past, I've had some good ones, but some of them were just like evil. Like they would go around talking about who are we going to scare today, and they're just here to teach. They were my biggest teachers because they taught me that I was done with this and peace out. I'm going to move on, move forward.
Yeah, and people that do work in environments like that, sometimes it's like, well, I've got bills to pay, but at what expense?
Yeah.
And we all have bills to pay. I get that.
Yeah.
If you've got responsibilities, you've got children, you can't just up and leave your job tomorrow necessarily.
Yeah.
But you can mentally start preparing yourself to make steps and start seeing yourself, preparing yourself mentally and seeing yourself in the environment that you would like to work in.
Yeah.
And gradually, if you stay in that consciousness, before you know it, you will transform. I've had that happen. Every job that I've left, I've known mentally, maybe months before, it was like, okay, this is not going to work long term.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to walk out of here tomorrow, although I could cuss a few people out today. But,
or you can cut somebody.
Yeah, and so once I mentally checked out, I was like, I checked in somewhere else, and there was always something. Every time, something greater revealed itself. And a lot of it wasn't stuff that I wasn't even expecting.
Yeah.
But I say that to say, you just got to keep your mind right. And sometimes that's a challenge. And for me, it's, being still. That's one of the ways I practice to keep my head together. Yeah. But you've got to find ways to keep your mind, because all these there are distractions everywhere, all the time, between your phone, your computer, everything. Everything is a distraction. So you've got to find time to detach from all of that. Yeah. And just get. For me, it's meditation, but you got to get still.
Yeah, I 1,000% agree. And we talked in the past too about you doing the 21-day meditation. I had meditated for a while, and then sometimes I just feel like when I start traveling and then like things get busy, and then I'm like, whoa, I kind of like forget. And that's kind of my biggest lesson lately, because I've been needing it more, because I've been working through some grief that's been happening last year more. And it's been showing up more. So that 21 day, I told you I woke up and I don't check Twitter right when I wake up. I don't check Facebook right when I wake up. And that one morning I woke up and I saw that you had tweeted that Oprah 21 day, Open Deepak of 21 day meditation. And I've been doing it. And it's been so good. And it's just, I've been needing that levity because this is all about, this whole set is about being lighter.
Right.
Yeah. And
shedding the weight.
Yeah. And shedding the weight. And you know, one thing that I realized too is that I just need to be more gentle with myself, more compassionate. Because even with so many people have asked me too, like, oh, how do you meditate? Blah, blah, blah. As though like I know anything about it, except the fact that some days it's good, some days I feel like still, and some days things come and I have to let things go more. But it's just the idea of practicing.
Right. You got to make it a consistent practice. I know sometimes I can get in it and get right in that zone.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realize I'm in that zone. And then so there's a thought. Now I'm like, okay, now you just ruined it. Now you got to get back in the zone.
Yeah.
And sometimes I can get there and just stay there. And then sometimes I can spend 20 minutes thinking about everything that's going on, what I have to do today, what I did yesterday. And I might have 1 second or two in the zone, but I sit there until I just just be consistent. And I'll just sit there and constantly keep trying to focus on for me, it's focusing on my breath as I breathe, the rhythm of my breathing, so that I'm not thinking about what so-and-so did to me or who I got to, put in check over here and whatever drama is going on with work or relationships. So that, and all that stuff's going to come to you because that's what, you're used to. So when you try to get still, you just can't beat yourself. Like you were saying earlier, you got to be kinder to yourself. You can't just beat yourself up all the time. And that's what I do. I just, some days it's easier than others, or some days are easier, but it's just being consistent, just staying in it constantly.
I think consistency, I 100,000% agree. Consistency is key. And even on days like we have to pop up and we're busy or whatever it is, or we have a full day ahead, that's when you need it more. So I think even if you have, everybody, you can give yourself 1 minute. I don't care if you're Obama. I don't care if you're Oprah Winfrey. I don't care who you are. You got a minute at least to give to yourself a day, if not more.
At least a minute.
And some days, I admit, some days it's just like I'm running and gunning. And some days I give myself 15 minutes and the 15 minutes goes quick. Or some days it's like 20 minutes or close to 30. I don't think I've ever broken the past 30 mark yet. I don't know if I could do a silent meditation, a silent retreat. Have you done a silent retreat ever?
No, I mean, but I've been when I've been in areas like in Thailand comes to mind for me, tropical areas where there's the ocean and I can go for a long time.
Yeah.
Because the waves, I can focus on the crashing waves.
Yeah.
Then I can sit and be still for a long time. But then that's the whole environment. I put myself in an area that's peaceful. I'm not like in an office with people screaming at me.
Yeah.
But even if you are, you can still take a minute or two. And sometimes you have to do that in the middle of the day. You just have to breathe. Take 3 or 4 deep breaths and just realize that these MFers are not going to destroy my joy today.
Yeah.
They're just not.
Yeah. And your gut, like, going back to the whole job thing earlier, it's like your gut knows so much of when you're in a relationship or you're in a job or you're in a stressful situation. You get those stomach aches you and I talk about all the time, that you just know that, okay, I want to circle back about something you said earlier that really resonated with me. You were like, I intend, like you have that intention, like you plant that seed in your head where you're like, okay, this job isn't going well. I intend to move forward. And then once you move forward, you put that, you plant that seed. I don't know, it moves forward, all these things and people start coming your way that support it. And I always tell people trust and action equals traction. I love that. I was just like was walking with somebody and I was like, it's, you got to trust and you got to take action. And then somehow, things kind of like manifest. And a part of that is,
I say, surrender to the adventure. Life is an adventure.
Ooh, you
have to surrender to it. Yeah. And when you do that, you start by planning. See, I learned if I want to get to point B, whatever that is, whether that be travel, whether that be more finances, a dream job, and I'm here at point A in this cubicle and my life sucks. My thing is, listen, okay, let me focus on point B. Let me speak the answer. And it's not my job to figure out how. That's where the faith comes in.
Yeah.
All I need to do is be still and what's the next right move? What's the next right move? And what's the next right move? And then before you know it, you've achieved your goal. And you don't even know how. And then you realize that the goal is nice to attain, but the true joy, the sweet spot, is actually the journey of getting there because it unfolds in a way that you don't expect. So that I have found also to be kind of like my whole adult life has been just that. That's how I've maintained my joy.
Yeah.
by just
Oh,
kind of
that's good.
surrendering to the adventure of life.
Yeah. But I think so many people create that suffering in their own heads because they're like, oh, but I want that job, but I want that bigger paycheck, and I want that Audi or BMW or that next, and then or that job or whatever it is, and then they like start suffering so much in their heads. How do you like, so say your goal is to, buy this bigger house, but, and have this bigger title job, and
Right.
you don't
So
have
the
yet.
first thing I have to ask myself when I say that, okay, I will have this desire to have this larger house. Well, what is that? What's really driving that desire? Why do I need a larger house? Is it because I want people to look at me on Instagram and say, "Woo, he's balling out of control," when really he's sitting up there in a mound of debt? Not necessarily. So,
Yeah.
so why do I want that? It's okay to want things,
Yeah,
but am
totally.
I looking? Do I think that, okay, well, that's going to make me happy? No, it's not necessarily. So I always get to the root of what it is, and for me, it's really just about maintaining a state of joy.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I want that? Why do I really want that? Not
Yeah.
my public relations response, but
Yeah.
when I have to be with just me, myself,
Yeah.
and I.
Mm.
Why do I really? What's really driving my need for that? And I think when you can address that honestly with yourself, you'll find that it's probably less. It's probably the material possession is probably not as important, and
Yeah.
the desire may change, and it's
Yeah.
still okay because I have on my vision board right now. I've got several material things that I want to manifest, but the driving force is not the thing.
Yeah.
It's more so maybe what it represents, a completion of a process
Yeah.
of the journey of
Yeah.
the work.
When I got my car, it was my dream car 2 years ago, I cried, I wept. And it wasn't because of the price tag or, I mean, yeah, I mean, that would make anybody cry, any sort of price tag, any sort of money you got to put out and know that you're not going to get money back. Because, when you put money in a car, it depreciates in this country, at least. So when I got it, I wept because I felt my grandma. And what's the topic? T. Lance had asked you, what's the topic? What are we talking about right now? Spirituality. So my grandma, which is here, I'll show you a photo of her. I keep it by my bedside. But my grandma grew up super poor. I mean, she had, like, I think one of the what perceived worst lives, but spiritually, she was one of the like most rich people. I mean, Chinese woman, poor, no rights. Her husband dies in their late 20s in China. She's pregnant with my dad, has 2 kids, young children, and has to flee because the government takes over your land. You're not educated. So she made her way to Vietnam somehow, became homeless there and pregnant. Well, she was pregnant already, and lost her husband. And anyway, ended up, she eventually, I think overall her lifespan, she lost all 5 of her kids.
Wow.
Yeah, from having a miscarriage. I think she had actually more, like a miscarriage also, and stillborn and middle age. And, it's just, she just always had this wisdom. And it was to me, it was spirituality. It wasn't specifically like a religion. She was Buddhist, but she, to me, emanated like so much joy. And when we were growing up, we were so poor when we came to America. We had $4 in our pockets and 10 of us in a trailer park. I've told you this story. But when we were a kid, I remember her crying in the bedroom. And I was about driving age, like all of us were. And my sister's car had caught on fire on the freeway. And she was weeping in the room. And I was like, "What's wrong, Grandma?" And she was like, "I felt like I failed because I wish I could buy you guys a new car. I wish I could do that for you guys, but even my son can't even do that. I failed. And I'm like, what are you talking about? We came here to America. Like we have opportunity, we have an education, we're free. There's bombs not going off. Communists aren't here. Like to get us. And so
Wow.
when I got my car, it was the car that I've always wanted. And when I got it, I was like, I want to be in this financial situation where I don't feel like I'm struggling, with this car. It'll be expensive to, sort of, to pay for the like maintenance and all that. But then when I got it, that's what it means to me. It's not the price tag. And it's not like even a super, super duper fancy car, but it's just the fact that what it meant to me was that I
It's
felt myself.
completion of that whole
Yeah,
process, and
yeah,
it's
that
almost a way to
process. Yeah,
honor your
yeah, yeah.
struggle, if you will.
I'm gonna show you this photo right quick because it's right next to my bed. I have my little shrine over here, my grandma. But that's me
Oh,
in a refugee camp.
how
Yeah,
cute is that?
it was me in a refugee camp and my dad's mom here, and we just that's little old T. you know?
So wait,
And
where was the camp? Was in Vietnam?
it was, no, so we left Vietnam on a boat with a ton of people, and I was 8 months old, but we went to Indonesia, and we were there for about 2 years before we went to South Sacramento. And but yeah, it's just like it's a journey, and I will never forget. Like I wake up, honestly, like I wake up every morning no matter what's going on, and I've had some really dark times in the last year. But I wake up and I'm like I go to my breath and I'm like, I get to do this again, and I really am excited about like waking up. And I wrote the other day, I think, was it my journal or where was I writing? But I was like, I do wake up still with a little excitement of the little boy that you see here. And I would wake up and I would be like, what am I going to do today? Who am I going to meet? What adventure am I going to be on? And we can't lose sight of that. It's just like, it's such a gift to be in this body, but then there's a responsibility. There's a huge responsibility. And I think the responsibility for me is to like honor and be and live your truth. I think that's the biggest thing we're supposed to learn here. And being our truth is also loving one another. Doing to your neighbor as you would want done it to yourself, or something like that. Yeah, so it's a journey in the process of it. And then it's fun because then I start meeting people like you, and just even though we're like on Facebook Live and we decided to, as a gift, like share this with people, our conversations are always like this, and I'm just really grateful for this.
And it's a nice recharge in the middle of the week for me. It's like, okay, all this other crap has been going on, and you're constantly trying to, for me, like meditate and stay in the space and stay in your zone. And it's like this constant balancing act, and you feel like you're alone and you're isolated because all these other people, and you're like woo woo crazy, and you realize, no, there are other people out there who actually get it. Yeah. And so that's very refreshing. Very refreshing.
Absolutely. And
I'm writing my gratitude journal tonight.
I know. I'm gonna actually restart mine over there. I got several here that I started and then I stopped, and even like you said, again, I think we're with meditation. I just want to bring it back full circle to this whole journal thing. It's just like we feel guilty if we don't do it, and then we feel like giving up. It's the same thing with dieting or like eating right. I've been trying to eat cleaner, and some days it's just my niece and nephew here. I'm gonna have me some ice cream, and it's okay. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
What Tian says, listen, tell me, I sometimes take for granted being raised here in the USA, the freedom to be me. You're absolutely right. It's because that is very true.
Yeah.
And I don't take it for granted being raised here about my freedom, but I still express my freedom to call America on its bullshit. But at the same time, even though there are mounds and mounds of that, and it's romanticized history and yada yada yada, the foundation of all that stuff, I think, is very true. And it is a blessing to be raised in a country where you can actually do that and not be killed or stoned or
go to jail. I mean, like a couple of my friends.
Tiant.
Yeah, go Tiant. I like that name. That's a fabulous name.
I love that. Love it.
What does that mean? I want to know what that name means. That's awesome. That's a really strong name.
Anything else that I'm forgetting? I'm going home to Atlanta tomorrow. I'm excited. Even though I'm only going to be home for a day. Then I go to Dallas. My girlfriend, her name is Cheryl Jackson. She has a food pantry in Plano, Texas. Just out.
It's called
Minnie's Food Pantry. Yes, just outside of Dallas. So her annual gala, fundraising gala, is on the 3rd, next Tuesday. And Oprah is going to be there.
I saw that on Twitter.
I'm so excited for her and to be there. And I'm always there to support her anyhow. But this year it's going to be really, really special. And you want to talk about manifesting a vision. Literally, like 2 years ago, she was saying to me, I really want her to come to the pantry. I really want to get her to come. And I was like, just put it out there and focus on it. And it will happen. And then she really wanted it to happen last year. But then she was saying, I really want it to be for the 10-year anniversary, which is this year. Yeah. And then lo and behold, Oprah says yes. So it's just such, I mean, again, she's applying all of those same principles about believing in herself, believing in the vision.
Yeah.
And so now it's all coming together on April 3rd in Texas.
Yes.
So I'll be going to Dallas for that. I'll be with her for, I think I'm there 3 days. And then I have vacation, and I'm going to be staying home in Atlanta.
How many days
So
are you gonna
don't
be
call
there?
me nobody. Don't come to that house. Oh, you gonna be home? Can I come stay at your house? No.
Well, I'm gonna be looking for you. That well, for sure. Then when you're there, I want to definitely like I'll check out your snaps and your social media to see because I know you're pretty good at posting stuff,
Yeah.
especially that benefits others or people can glean inspiration or hope. So that's awesome. And then I hope that I'm doing a speaking engagement in Atlanta mid May. So I'll send you the details and hopefully
Please
we'll
send me
be
the
able to play.
details so that I can
Yeah.
make sure that I'm home.
Okay.
I'm
I
trying to think
know.
what's going on in May. I have some time off at the end of the month.
It's mid-month. And I definitely want to try to go to DC too. So I don't know if you'll be either there or DC, but I hope to connect with you for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love DC.
I know.
So
I love
cool.
DC. Yeah. Um, so I'll talk to you next week then. I'll let you go because I know it's late there.
Sounds awesome. Y'all rock. Thanks for your feedback, your
Yeah.
input,
I
your
know.
all that
I
good stuff.
love just like listening to what people have to say because it isn't just, the stuff that you and I talk about isn't just for us. It's like there's so many other people like going through these things or can, either glean some hope or inspiration from this. Nice meeting you for sure.
Right. I agree. Nice meeting you too, Tion. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully
Yeah,
we'll
nice
see you
meeting you.
next week. Y'all have a good
Thank
one.
you. Okay, I'll see you
Thanks.
next week. All right,
All right,
get some
sounds good.
rest. I know
I
it's
am
late there.
down.
You're like a
Ooh,
few hours ahead
child,
of
these
me.
bags, shopping
What they
bags,
say,
honey.
black don't
Shopping
crack.
bags. All right. But it does
Asian,
get tired.
Asian don't raise it. I know, I do. I'm actually really tired at the moment. Okay, talk
All
to you
right,
soon.
I'll talk
Take
to you
care.
soon.
Bye.
Bye, guys.